Yo, what is going on, guys? So, I think previously in a different video, I'd said that I had filmed all my sessions that I do on this training split, and I actually went through and it looks like I haven't ever filmed my legs B variation. So I'm gonna go ahead and film that today. So that's gonna look like lying hamstring curls into stiff leg deadlifts, into leg extensions, into adductors, and then a hip thrust at the end. So I'm just gonna get right into that session. I think I might do a voiceover on this one. Maybe I'll talk during it, not sure yet. But either way, I'm gonna show you guys the session, show you what it looks like, and I'm gonna get after it right now. Alright guys, so I'm about to go into my first working set of these lying hamstring curls. I have 4 total working sets here. All are going to be in the 10 to 15 rep range. So my first 2 sets are usually my heavier sets, and then as the fatigue builds, I kind of have to titrate the weight down to still land within my rep range. So a couple things that I really keep in mind when I'm doing these lying hamstring curls is I really want to emphasize control. So not only in the eccentric, but you'll see I kind of pause at the top for a second in that contracted position because I really want to cement that contraction. And I also do my best to try and keep my hips and my glutes down as much as possible. So keeping my glutes and hips down as much as possible and making sure that I'm like having a slight pause in the contraction really holds me accountable on this movement, because this is a movement where it is easy for it to get out of hand and you just get less stimulus in the hamstrings. You might be moving more load, but you're actually getting less stimulus in the muscle you're looking for because the glutes and the lower back start coming into play really heavily. So if you ever watch yourself doing these and you see your glutes coming up a ton, that means your hamstrings aren't doing nearly enough, as much work as you think they are doing. When the glutes and the hips stay down, that means those hamstrings are working. In a way that I also control for that loading, right, is making sure that I'm holding that contraction for a split second, because that basically kind of checks my ego. If the weight is super heavy, I can't hold the contraction for that split second. All I can do is just move the load, which it doesn't happen to everybody, but for me, it makes me get carried away with the loading. So that's why I perform it in this manner. So right now, I'm gonna go into my first set and you're gonna see what that looks like. Okay, so with hamstrings wrapped up, I'm going into my stiff leg deadlifts. So the way I warm up here, because I'm already pretty warm from doing lying hamstring curls, I just do a plate for 5, 2 plates for a set of 3, 3 plates for a set of 1 to 2, and then I strap up and I go into my working set. So as you can see right there, I have my working set loaded up. You'll also see that there's blocks underneath there, or not really blocks, but there's mats. So because I'm doing a stiff leg deadlift, the point of this is to keep my legs relatively straight and my spine position neutral, and I don't have the kind of hip mobility and hamstring mobility to pull from the floor and keep that kind of posture. So that's why I pull from blocks. It's actually pretty rare that somebody can like truly stiff leg from the floor. But if you can stiff leg from the floor, that's obviously the best way to do it, okay? So only put as many blocks, if you are gonna pull from blocks for a stiff leg, only put as many blocks or mats underneath there as you need. You want the least amount possible so you can get the best possible stimulus from the exercise. Because, you know, say you're putting it crazy high, you're just doing a rack pull at that point, and rack pulls are goddamn pointless. So just a couple things to keep in mind if you are trying to do a stiff leg and you notice that you can't pull from the floor while keeping a neutral spine. So I'm gonna get into my working set right now. The rep range is 10 to 12, so we'll see what I can do with this weight. Okay, so I just wrapped up over there on stiff legs. That was 2 sets. I don't know if I mentioned that, but it's 2 sets in the 10 to 12 rep range. Now I'm moving on to my next exercise, which is leg extensions. This is 3 sets in the 12 to 20 rep range. Now a couple things with leg extensions that I constantly see done wrong. Number one, most common mistake I see is the way you move the weight up. So many people kick the weight up. Kicking the weight up is not how you get anything out of this exercise. In fact, that's usually how people get a lot of knee problems with this exercise. The way you move the weight up is by contracting the quad. Like say you're standing up and you want to contract your quad. You basically like lock your knee out, right? So that's the way you want to think about moving this weight. You want to think about you're pushing the weight up by contracting the quad in order to lock your knee out, like the way that you would flex your quad when you're standing up. So that severely limits the load that you're able to do on this, but you get way more stimulus out of this exercise and you save yourself knee problems. So that's number one. Number two, I see this even in like pretty, advanced guys or high intermediate guys, all the way down to like the beginner lifter, is bitching out on this exercise. This exercise burns probably more than any other exercise in the entire gym, okay? You're gonna get halfway into your set and it's gonna feel like you can't do another rep and you're still gonna have 10, 12 more in there. So this exercise is unique in that manner and so many people quit at that point. They just bitch out because they cannot take the pain. They cannot take the blood going into that muscle, like the pump, the inflammation, the burning. You need to push through that if you're going to get the most out of this exercise. So one thing you're really going to see here is when you're getting to that point, almost everyone has their feet start shaking. It's involuntary, like you can't even control it. So that is one thing to like pay attention to. That happens to almost everybody who pushes this exercise to the degree that it needs to. So pay attention to my set, and I guarantee near the end of the set, you'll start seeing my feet do that. It's completely involuntary. I can't even control it. But that's how you know that I'm actually really close to the end of my set. So I'm gonna get into my set right now. So if you guys paid attention to the very end of that set, you should have seen like my right leg, I think it was, or right foot, like it was doing that spasming that I was talking about. So that's how you know you're really taking a leg extension set to the extent that you need to be taking it. Now I'm going to go into adductors. Adductors is 3 sets in the 12 to 20 rep range. So I'm just going to get into the working set and show you guys what that looks like. Okay, so adductors is now wrapped up, and I'm going to go into my last movement, which is going to be a hip thrust. This is only 1 set. Also in the 12 to 20 rep range, you can tell, really like that rep range on this day. But it's nothing crazy. I mean, I've already done like a decent amount of glute and hamstring work, right? So this is kind of just like a little top off. It's 1 set, it's all out, as many reps as I can do. And I really try to make sure with this one, just like hamstring curls, that I try to hold that contraction and really cement that contraction at the top so that I know I have full control over this weight. All right, there you have it, guys. That's gonna wrap up the session for today. So really good overall session for me. I'm gonna go home now, get my next meal in, and probably just chill for the rest of the day. So hopefully you're able to take away some things from this session that maybe you can apply to your own session. As always, I appreciate the support, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.